Why do you have a lot of questions for today's?
For this podcast.
For today's because you're not being a responsible adult.
Oh, I am, or I'm not.
I don't think you are, because I've asked you if you had this, because when I was first diagnosed, Derek and I got an elder lawyer to get our wills and.
I don't have any plans of dying anytime soon.
I know, but it's still always good to have.
Exactly, it's a good idea no matter what.
Welcome to The Secret Life of Parkinson's, a podcast created by people living with Parkinson's to help break the stigma of a disease no one likes to talk about. Now, here are your hosts, Jessica Krauser and Brian Baker. So we have Larae Schraeder with us from Schraeder Law, right? Did I say that right?
Yes.
Okay. So thank you so much for coming here. You actually came to the gym, which all of our viewers know about, the PD Next Steps gym. But so you came to the gym to talk to everybody about what an elder lawyer can provide, right? And what are things that everybody, as they age.
When you see elder lawyer, I think it's an old lawyer.
So that's actually a good question, because my mom and I were talking about this in the car. Is that technically?
It's a specialty where you're focused on the end of life, which, for some people may come earlier than others. Mm-hmm. So it's planning for disability as well as death and making sure that we have a plan in place. I do not have as many people in my practice come to me because they've had their first child and they're ready and eager to make a first will to have someone named as a guardian if anything happened to them in an accident. I generally deal with people with chronic illness or disability, as well as those who are just older and may feel infirm.
But it is a smart thing to do, right? I mean, because if not, then those decisions are being made by who?
By others that aren't of your choosing or the court, which isn't always your first choice, I would say, for most people.
Mm-hmm. So you specialize in chronic diseases, and so Parkinson's is it a specialty, I guess? Does it make any difference if it's one disease versus another?
No, so I'm not considered a specialist per se, but elder law is generally focused on the documents that help families during those stages, because they often do have a period of incapacity or a period where they're infirm and not able to run the errands. And so even if they're still calling the shots, they need to convince the bank teller that someone else is allowed to be their transacting business for them. And Parkinson's can at times be one of the diseases that may lead someone to liquidate their entire assets and need Medicaid or other forms of assistance. And so my office not only does estate planning, right, last will and testament, healthcare power of attorney, but we also deal with applications for long-term care benefits when that's needed. And in Ohio, that can mean care in your home for a few hours a week, care in an assisted living facility, or care in a long-term care skilled facility. And so that's why I guess I have more familiarity in my practice with clients coming that have illness, as well as the experience that I've had firsthand as a granddaughter trying to help those who were struggling from Parkinson's. When my mother-in-law was diagnosed with ALS, her doctor said, something else may take you. And I was like, how is this possible, right? Because it was so fast. And, in the end, she had a heart attack.
Oh, wow.
And that's what I keep thinking. Other things happen. One person slips and falls on the ice, right? It's a totally different outcome. So it's really not in that case. But like I said, people traveling for business, right? Still working in their careers, doing all of these other things. They still need these foundational documents.
Yeah. So, I mean, all the avenues of law you can take, what drove you to elder law?
One night after tax class, one of my professors asked me the areas in which I was interested. And after working 20 years in corporate America before law school, and during law school, I will say, I was a night student, I started with some areas of interest, but I also knew I was open to inspiration. I just assumed I would do corporate law or some flavor of it. But after class one night, my professor said, "What are you considering?" And this was on my short list. So he encouraged me to speak with one of his former students. And so every semester after that, I connected with him. And I was really energized by our conversations, because he didn't just spend time alone in an office researching a corporate issue. He was actually face-to-face, sitting in a conference room right across the table from someone or holding their hand. And I knew I got energy from others and not just from within. And that was going to be an important part of how I really wanted to use my license when I earned it.
That's awesome. So you didn't even get licensed with this until later on in life.
That's
in
right.
Your career.
I was a few weeks past my 43rd birthday when I earned my law license.
Wow, very cool.
And I practiced for 7 years.
Very cool. I love that. So I think the reason why Derek and I looked into it, one, it was just something we just always knew that we should have in place because, you know, if we're traveling and it's just the two of us and then the kids were still little, I think they were 9 at the time that we had it done. And it's like, just to like, you don't want any family to deal with any questions or situations or who's doing what. So that was one of the main reasons. But then the other one, I think, was from like a disability standpoint or like because we had no idea like what this disease would entail. And then that first year, you're freaking out about everything. Yeah. Now looking back, it's like, I'm fine. Yeah. But I'm glad that we have something at least started. Sure. So what are like the most important things that, one, anybody, but I mean, specifically with the disability, like what are the things that you should focus on and why?
The single most important document, I would argue, for anyone over 18 in Ohio would be a general, durable power of attorney. Mm-hmm. General meaning anything but healthcare. Mm-hmm. We usually substitute the word financial because, right, a lot of things revolve around money. So the general power of attorney is also durable, meaning it would last if we were to become incapacitated. It doesn't turn off. And in olden days, right, some of the powers of attorney shut off. And what is a power of attorney anyway? A power of attorney means the power the state law gave you to pick someone else to represent you in a transaction. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be an attorney, but that's where the words come from. It's like representation for a certain thing. And I feel that that's the most important. The chances of us being disabled are far greater than the chances of premature dying, even if the disability is temporary or the incapacity. Maybe you're, spend a few weeks in a coma or on a ventilator. And so I feel that someone else being able to sign up for your health insurance and do annual enrollment, right? Your employer isn't going to let your spouse do that, even if they're covered on your benefits. They're not going to allow your spouse to just forge your name on the tax return. Yeah. You want an extension filed, right?
Yeah.
It's the kinds of things that you would want someone to do for you if you were going to wake up, right? And face the consequences. Mm-hmm. And I think everyone assumes the last will and testament would be the paramount document, but not to be crass, but you're gone. Like, we'll figure out your stuff. I worry about you being here and having something happen in a way that you hadn't planned. Yeah. And so I feel like that's the number one, and that's often where we start. Yeah. And we want to write it in a way that would be accepted by financial institutions and other organizations alike. It's helpful to me when someone comes to my office to say, can you really help? My mom, my sister, my spouse, if I see in advance they've written out instructions that say, please let this person even hire a professional on my behalf. Oh. Right? Like all of these different layers of things really help pave the way for someone else to be able to help you and do everything that's in your best interest. Mm-hmm.
So... And I'm asking because I just don't know. I mean, is this something we can just print off and have notarized, or do we have to have an attorney?
It's a great question. It is not required to work with an attorney for this, but it is heartbreaking when I have someone come to my office who thinks they have the authority they needed and there's something wrong with the document. It's either incomplete and it doesn't include all the categories that we would want, or there's an execution flaw. They might have had 2 witnesses, but it really needs to be notarized. So, or sometimes they didn't fill out the information all the way. And so it is one of those things where you sometimes get what you pay for. And it's terrible when you don't know it until it's too late, right? Because people do occasionally try to engage our services when it's not possible for them to execute a new document. And I will say that physical execution is not what I generally worry about, but someone's clarity. And sometimes that's impacted by medication or other things, right? And so we can help a quadriplegic even, right, execute documents legally, even if they can't personally place their mark. But they need to be able to blink. and communicate to me exactly who's supposed to be in charge, right? Or point if I hold up 2 pictures or do those sorts of things. And sometimes they don't know the names of their children. Sometimes they don't know that they're in a lawyer's office, right?
Yeah.
And so those are the folks where I'm like, we're going to have to live with the limited one you might have done years ago or nothing. And that means guardianship. And court-appointed guardianship is, like I said, generally something that most people would be proactive enough to avoid. And this is the path to do so in Ohio.
Wow. So that just makes it, I mean, granted, like the reasoning why we did it so early wasn't necessarily this, but it's maybe a reason why people should, like when they do get that initial diagnosis of really anything, because, you know, especially with Parkinson's, within the first 4 years, you don't truly know if it's just Parkinson's or if it's PSP or Lewy body or all the things. So getting that taken care of before any potential mind cognitive issues happen, right? Well, you're past your 4 years, so I think you're good. You're cognitive.
You need this regardless of your diagnosis.
Well, you know, it's things like, and honestly, I just put up like, oh, I've got a beneficiary for my insurance. I've got a beneficiary for my 401k. I've got a
So what do you say to that?
I would say, who's going to take that required minimum distribution when you have an IRA and your family's going to have to pay the penalty of the tax, right, on this distribution that they weren't allowed to take because you were still alive. They have no interest until you're dead. And so that doesn't help during that period when you might need. And the other thing is we generally write the financial power of attorney strong enough so that if you're just not available or able, then they can still help you. The border closed for 2 years with Australia during COVID. There were plenty of people that needed some things done. One of them, my client, right? Or what if you're over the border in Niagara Falls visiting and someone needs to do something for you, but the border closes because of the next, outbreak. So I think it's something where you should say, I need this anyway. This is a good way to adult. And it's not just because I have an issue.
Yes. We're adulting here.
That's right. I'm growing up. This is just something I'm supposed to do. And people don't talk about it, right? Like this is one of the things where no one is going to give you the book that says you should really do this. And then you learn from someone else or the hard way. There's no billboard on this.
That's why it's called The Secret Life of Parkinson's. We're sharing all the secrets because nobody likes to talk about it. And it is a weird thing. Like I remember when my husband and I went to go like sign the papers. We're like, what'd you do today? It's like, well, I went to see my elder lawyer and we signed off papers to say like what's going to happen if something happens to us. So, but so it's good. It's beneficial. I mean, you have to do it so that your people don't have to be in a situation to. All right. So we'll set up an appointment later. Anything else that like if people that are either newly diagnosed or have been diagnosed for quite some time and still don't have anything set up, what's like your like a recommendation? Do they look up for an elder lawyer? Do they find something online or their consultants? Like how do they know where to go? And are they all over? Like because we reach worldwide, so I didn't know.
Yep. The National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys here in the United States is one way to find an attorney near you.
What's it called?
National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys, NAELA for short. Ohio has a chapter, but they are attorneys that hold themselves to a higher ethical standard, and they're usually involved in advocacy for adults, right, facing issues. And that they have a feature on their website where you can find an attorney based on proximity toward you. So it is one way to begin to find an attorney. I don't have many colleagues that advertise openly because it's something where word of mouth and an endorsement or trust carries a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And so that's generally how our clients have come to us. It's not the sort of thing like, I don't know, washing my windows at home. I would be okay finding a window washer with some reviews online, but I find that's not always the case for someone that you're going to spill your heart out to and tell them what you're afraid of and what you hope for if you weren't able to see things through until the very end.
Wow. So you probably found a lot of people at our gym.
So you hit on something a little bit. You touched on just enough to intrigue me. Because we get more probably comments, or one of the things we comment on is applying
Disability.
for disability. Is that something that you do as well, or you help people with?
We do not. My only experience has been on a personal level before I attended law school, and helping other people find professionals that do make it their area of expertise to work with the Social Security system or the private disability insurance that sometimes covers people through their employer. And understanding that, even designating someone special to receive your Social Security benefits if you were to receive them and be designated as disabled is really important. And that's not something that a standard estate planning attorney is necessarily schooled in. Mm-hmm. So much in the way that there's the area of medicine, and then there's physicians that are focused on neurology. Mm-hmm. And then within neurology, right, there are those that focus on seizures or Parkinson's or ALS. And I feel that within the estate planning world of attorneys, right, elder law is just kind of really a subset in particular. And it also generally connotates an involvement in guardianship and or assistance matching people with public benefits.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's still a topic, hot topic, is with people trying to figure out like the disability and how to sign up and, right?
It's difficult to navigate.
Yeah. So if you ever get bored with being an elder lawyer, that's something you can look into, because there's a lot of us that are going to look into that.
And I have primarily helped families where we are assisting, mom or dad with eligibility for their long-term care. Perhaps there's a couple and one of them doesn't want to bankrupt the other because of their care needs, but there may be an adult disabled child, right?
Yeah.
Oftentimes we've had people who are in their 50s or 60s receiving Social Security benefits or a private form of disability. And it is possible that that's a very useful strategy for helping mom or dad save their resources by being allowed to transfer them. You can't just dump all of your money and run and say like, okay, I'm broke, please pay for my nursing home, right? That doesn't work that way. But when you have anybody who meets that official definition of disabled, then that opens up further planning and able to save and care for those who do need it. I think the state understands that, and public policy should support it.
I was going to say, like, that's the part I'm not very good from like financial standpoint stuff, like understanding the whole, like, yeah, you can't dump your money and say, I don't have any money, now help me. But that was the other thing that my husband was really, big on, because I have my retirement, I have IRAs, as well as he does. And we have the joint, and it's like, how do we protect what we have in case, worst case scenario down the road that I have to go to like a, nursing home or whatever. Even though when we were talking about it, I'm like, dude, you might be sick too. Like you might be going somewhere before me.
We might look for a double.
Yeah. I know. I was like, I'm working out. I'm exercising. What are you doing? No, but in all seriousness, that was one of the things that we wanted to take a look at too. And it's just stuff that like, not that it should like, excite you like, oh, this is interesting. I just really don't like looking. It's
overwhelming.
It is. So the
get a
fact
guide.
that other people can take care of it, I'm good.
That's right.
So,
and in terms of navigating the retirement accounts, one should know that they're treated differently in almost every state when it comes to eligibility for something like Medicaid anyway. And so don't listen to your neighbor or what I call like beauty shop or coffee shop law, right? Because one little fact can change everything about the outcome. And so having someone that's, licensed in that area that can help guide you is important.
So what's your consensus? Are you going to do it?
At some point in time, yes.
Some point in time. Oh my God. Sense of urgency here, Brian.
We're all one fall away.
Yeah. Like everyone's lucky they woke up today. I'm serious. The National Academy of Elder Lawyers. Is that
attorneys?
What
Elder Law Attorneys. National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys.
Okay. So I just want everybody else to remember that or write that down, and that way they can look that up and find find somebody that's in their state, right, or who's knowledgeable of that, and hopefully somebody that can help them. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And
yes,
yes,
you'll
be hearing from Brian or from me for Brian. I have a tendency to take over every once in a while.
Grabbing by the ear.
Yeah, I went to the doctor with him one time, and he was like, I'm fine. I'm like, no, he's not.
I love it.
So it might have to happen again. But you always need somebody,
I know.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate the insight and the knowledge and the power that it's going to bring you to do something hopefully soon too. But in our last 30 seconds, I will leave you all with this. While this may not have been the most comfortable conversation, I know not everybody likes to talk about these, potential doom and gloom situations, but it is a reality. Anything can happen in life, whether you have Parkinson's or not, or a disease right now or not. Life happens. So it's great to be prepared, not just for yourself, but for your loved ones. So check out the National Academy of Elder Law Attorney, their website, and you can hopefully find somebody near you. With that, we'll see you next time.